So, you guys remember, normally, if we're just graphing like y equals sine of x, well, what shape does the graph take? Like, what's the picture? Looks like waves. And how high does the wave go normally? 1. And goes down to -1. Okay. How far does the wave go normally before it starts? Like just on a normal like sine or cosine graph. How far does the wave go before it starts repeating itself? 2 pi. Okay, what is that called, the distance before it starts repeating itself? Period. So normally the amplitude is 1, there's like an invisible 1 right there, and it's up front. And the period is normally 2 pi. If there's a number in front of the x though, the period is going to be 2 pi divided by that number. Okay, so in this case the amplitude is 2, that means it should go up to 2 and down to -2. And remember I had you guys make 4 marks normally? And on the 4th mark, I had you put the period. So in this case, if there's a 4 in front of the x, the period is 2 pi divided by 4, or reduce that, pi over 2. And then like sine starts in the middle, going up. So it goes from the middle to the top. And once you're at the top, there's nowhere to go but back down. So back down to the middle, then to the bottom. And once you're in the bottom, there's nowhere to go but up, so start going up again. Okay, and it goes like that over and over again. So the amplitude is 2, the period is pi over 2. Okay, and then the other thing we did was like this. Yuck. Alright, what does this do to the graph when you put like a minus on the x? It makes it move right pi and down 1. Okay, so the start of your graph depends on where pi is, but you'd have to move right pi and down 1. So if you combine all those things together, it could look something like this. So 2 would be the amplitude. The period would be 2 pi divided by 3. And the graph should start right 4 and up 5. So there's like 4 things you have to kind of worry about, potentially. And also, I guess you need to know that sine starts in the middle going up, cosine starts at the top. So that's good. All right. Yeah, that's a quick overview of all the stuff we should know. Number 1, y equals 2 cosine of x. Or actually, they used theta, didn't they? Doesn't really matter what letters they use. So what does that 2 tell us? Right, it says the amplitude is 2, so we should go up 2 and down 2 on the graph. Okay, where does cosine normally start? Starts at the top, yes. So in this case, the top is 2. Okay, they kind of marked it out for us, like pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. Those are like the quarter marks that, by quarter I mean like the 1/4 of the way there's things that we usually do. So it goes top, middle, bottom, middle, top, middle, and you just keep going all the way across. I'm not going to mark all the things on the graph because it would take me too long. As much as they put on the graph. Just go all the way to the left, all the way to the right. I guess you can't go left, never mind. Just go all the way to the right. Oh, it does ask for the amplitude. So on number 1, what's the amplitude? 2, what's the period?
1.
No.
0.
Okay. The period is on this 4th mark. They call it 2 pi. It's a normal period because there is no number in front of the theta right here. So it's a normal 2 pi period. It's a period because that's how far it gets before it starts repeating itself. From hilltop to hilltop, from 0 to 2 pi, the 2 pi length. Number 3. 4 sine of theta. So the 4 tells us the what? Amplitude. So that means it's supposed to go up to 4 and down to negative 4. What would so the amplitude is 4, and what would the period be? Still 2 pi. Nothing in there. So kind of like the last one. The only difference is this is this is a sine, yeah. So where does sine start at? So it goes middle, heading up. So it'll be at 4 at the first step, then back down to the middle, and to the bottom. There's the button. We're going to hit all these. All right, number. Are we good?
Not yet, no.
Is that because you're doing an even right now?
No.
Guilty, Shannon. I can see your paper from here. You're doing number 4. It's clear.
What? You're so beautiful, Sharon. Thanks. You're so hot.
Stop.
You're the sunshine of my life. Okay, girl.
All right. This time they put a number in a different spot. They put the 3 in front of the theta. What's that going to do to the graph?
Great.
Okay, normally the graph is 2 pi, or the period is 2 pi. This time the graph's period is going to be 2 pi divided by 3. It's like 2/3 pi. So the period's different. Okay, what is the amplitude going to be? Right, there's no number up here, so the amplitude is 1. Period is 2 pi over 3. Okay, we gotta be a little bit careful on this. Let me see what your guys' graph looks like.
You know about me and you.
Okay, yeah, this is gonna be challenging. So they made kind of normal marks for the period. Like they put 2 pi on the 4th one. So our period actually needs to be, okay, and the amplitude is 1, so let's put that in. Our period actually needs to happen a third of that over. So where's a third of 2 pi? Well, a third's like 33%, so this is like 25 and 50%. So 33% would be about right there. And then again at 66%, it should be, so that's like 50, it'd be like 62.5, like 2/3 of the way would be right there. So it needs to go through a period in these little sections. Okay, so when we made our own graphs, I kind of avoided this by just making the 4th mark the period, right? But they didn't fix it for us like that. So the divide by 3 part, we just kind of have to do the period in the thirds. So, in other words, where does cosine start at? The top. So if it starts at the top, it should be through its period by a third of the way. So it should be back to the top right here. Which means in the middle of those two, it should be at the bottom. And it should be through the period again over here, so it should be back to the top. It should be through again over here at 2 pi, so it's back to the top. So I'm going to mark about the middle of these, at the bottom. So, I'm not going to be too picky on this, but looks like that. So it should have gotten through the period 3 times by the time it gets to 2 pi.
Thank you. Literally things are.
Almost a
Oh my goodness.
You scared me.
I'm scared.
Yes.
Oh. Please, please, no. No. Gotta give me another sunshade, she said. Yeah.
And I can tell you the number 6.
He's just the one who's asking for where's mine.
Why are you agreeing with her?
Support my friends. Yeah. Okay, you can't be picky on this. Okay, I'm done. Probably, yeah.
So on number 6, for example, so normally the period is 2 pi. On number 6, it's 2 pi divided by 4. What's that going to reduce to? Right. It's going to reduce to pi over 2 or 1/2 pi. So in other words, on 6, you should go through an entire period by pi over 2. So in other words, it should go down and back up to the top again by pi over 2. Then down to the top again by pi. Down to the top again by 3 pi over 2. So each of those little quarter steps, it should go through an entire period. Bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom, top. Does that make sense? Hopefully not. I guess I could help you individually. Number 7. Okay. So on 7, they don't put a number in front of the cosine. They just put, or in front of the theta, they just put it over 2. Theta over 2 is the same thing as 1/2 times theta. So the period for this is going to be 2 pi divided by 1/2. If you divide by half, you're multiplying by 2. So the period is going to be 4 pi. This one shouldn't be too hard, actually. That one's kind of easy. I think 5 is the hardest one. Yeah, 8. 8's almost the same as 7. Just one sine, the other's cosine. Okay, so the amplitude on 7, there's no number out in front, so it's just a 1. The period is 4 pi. And if you look how they mark the graph, they put 4 pi on the 4th mark, which kind of makes it easy for us. So cosine starts at the top. In this case, the top is 1. That's the amplitude. So it should go top, bottom, or middle, bottom, middle, and back to the top. So it's just gone through one period in 4 pi. And it keeps going a little bit farther, I guess, so. Should look about like that. Number 8's almost the same because see how it says sine of theta over 2. The only difference is on sine, you start in the middle going up. Okay, number 9. These might actually be easier on the back page. Well, yeah, the 3rd page I guess is probably the easiest. 4th isn't that bad either. Okay. Number 9, what is that plus 1 going to do to the graph? Huh? Up 1, yes. Okay, so the amplitude is still 1 because there is no number in front of the cosine. The period is still 2 pi because there's no number in front of the theta, the variable. But if the graph is moved up 1, And this will be the middle of my graph right here. And if the amplitude is 1, it should go up 1 and down 1 from there. Okay, so everything's going to be centered along this line, not along the x-axis. Okay, the graph is up 1 and the amplitude is 1. Okay, does it mark it out nicely for us? Yes, it does. So they put, on the fourth mark, they put 2 pi like normal. So where does cosine start at? Cosine starts at the top. In this case, the top is 2. So it goes top, middle, bottom, middle, top, middle. So on 10, the graph will be down 1. On 12, the graph will be down 2. On 11, the graph will be up 2. Guess let's go this way. Okay. So if the graph is up 2, y equals 2 will be the center of the graph. The amplitude is still 1 because there's no number in front of the sign. The period is still 2 pi because there's no number in front of theta. Really the only difference, okay, the milligraph is up 2, but the period, or sorry, the amplitude is 1. So that means it's going to go up to 3 and it's going to go down to 1. So 2 is in the middle and it's going to go up and down 1 from there. So this will be like the middle of the road there. Okay, where does sine normally start at? Starts in the middle going up. In this case, the middle is right here. And it'll go up to the top, which is there. And back, once you're at the top, you gotta go back down, so it'll be in the middle. Into the bottom, back to the middle, back to the top. I didn't draw that very well. Okay. Oh, did you miss insulting Esau that time off?
Yeah, I insulted her on text though. Not that much though.
Did you say you're ratty and you have no friends?
I didn't ghost you. I think you the second I get on
Okay.
attitude and her what. I ghosted you because I don't like you, girl.
Hope, had they ever seen an Asian person before?
No, they asked me why I was colored.
Did they actually?
Asked you why you were colored?
They were like, "Are you dark?" And I was like, "What?" And they're like, "You're darker than the others." And I was like, "Oh." So they asked where I was from, and I was like, "From China." And they're like, "Oh." I was like, "Okay."
They didn't even know what an Asian person was.
They do. It's just they had to like have confirmation from me that I was from China, you know.
Yeah, you're probably the first I've ever seen.
You should tell me what I asked you earlier.
They asked her which part. She asked if I had a squatty potty, and I did. And you know, It wasn't that bad though. They actually.
I'm guessing they probably.
I literally had to hold the door shut.
What?
I don't know, see it and like,
I walked in there.
I always feel like you like
girl,
fall
don't put me back in.
for real. It's so bad.
Oh, you shouldn't have someone helping you.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, that's what I said. I was asking your mom at third hour.
No way.
Help me this one, I haven't shot about it.
It was.
Did you just hear this? Wait, you were?
Yeah.
We couldn't put it in the look.
You see?
You had to put it in the tray. Yeah.
No, they only flushed like a couple times.
I thought she was just weird and expensive.
So like there's not water in there, so you had to like
Oh,
pour water in
Like,
there and flush.
honestly, unique.
Oh man.
Wasting
I'm
brush.
gonna cry.
They gave us
I mean, like now
water.
it's just.
Only reason why you had them was because we ordered a lot of them. But yeah, they didn't.
Yeah,
I mean, every time they gave us drinks, it was warm.
Like,
They gave us a bottle of
never
Coke,
cold.
like a glass bottle of Coke, and then everyone just
I don't think I'm this way.
Okay. This one will be a little tricky. What is this minus 2 pi over 3? What's that going to do to the graph? Right, 2 pi over 3. Where is 2 pi over 3? Well, 2 pi over 3 is a third of 2 pi. Kind of talked about this on a different problem. So, or you could think of this is 1 pi. So this would be like, where's 2/3 pi? This is 1 pi, so where's 2/3 of that? Well, it's about right there, kind of in this random spot. Okay, that is going to be our starting place. Okay, and where does sine normally start at? In the middle, going up. Okay, now where will it reach the top? Now to go, since there's counting like normally, like I normally do, where 2 boxes equals like a quarter of the way. So it'll be at the top 2 boxes over. So where's 2 boxes over? Well, 1, 2, it's about right there. Okay, so 2 boxes over is kind of floating out in the no man's land. And then 2 boxes over, it'll be back down to the middle. I guess we gotta go this way too. 2 boxes over this way will be at the bottom. So 2 boxes over, it'll be at the bottom on this side. Right there. Let's get that out of there. 2 boxes over back. Didn't turn left. Okay. It's kind of a mess.
You should tell us where to start before.
Okay, so it's kind of, all these are a little bit the same. Gosh, what a mess. So, yeah, I'll just, how about I just help you with 14
No, we
instead?
don't have to do 16.
I did not say that. I do think I will make this, you guys are kind of like a day ahead of the other class, so I probably will just make this in 2 days. So.
What? I feel so blessed.
So, are we doing stuff tomorrow?
Hashtag blessed.
Or are
No,
we just gonna work on
we'll work on this.
tomorrow?
Mrs. Jordan, I hope you get an extra chicken.
Yeah, it's 2 days in.
Wow, what a blessing you have
Please don't do that.
pronounced over my life.
No, but then it's like, you didn't have to. Like you're all eating. You're hopping.
The hearts on the here?
Yeah.
Like that, but
From like ever.
That's why you don't take a half shot.
How long is your trip?
what? Year?
How long is your trip?
It was just like, it was like 8 days.
How long did it take?
It
Stop.
And then we had like an hour flight and then like a 4-hour layover. And then like a 2-hour flight or something.
Did you go on the Guatemala trip?
Yeah.
Oh,
Did Miss Wilmer have a
Caleb said
No, but tomorrow.
Caleb said
She totally forgot about
Corey got
speaking.
rizzed
It's
out.
So
she
bad.
totally forgot
It's
it
so
so
hard.
hard.
It
It was really
She
fun.
said my sister already spoke, so.
I asked
My
her.
sister Kat was a little scared. I'm so glad.
Wasn't her dad there though?
Yeah,
Maybe I can remind her.
he was a little scared about
Be
it.
like,
He was like,
I tried
or
to,
the
tried to
kid was
remind
like,
her today.
I have like seen a long time that I was
Olivia
getting
said that
something
she
Victoria.
forgot about you,
And we're
and
like,
so I
oh, sorry,
mentioned,
we'll leave.
Olivia said she forgot about you,
And Dad was
and so I
like,
was mentioning in Bible,
I'll
I was
send
like,
it right here. And just like
She goes.
listen to
By the
everything.
way,
but she didn't hear me,
It was
it's
really
really
funny.
I admire your hair and
He
your
doesn't have to
eyes.
love it.
I just wonder about a homeless guy pays for over.
Okay, so what is this plus 3 pi over 4 going to do to the graph?
Go left.
It's going to move left 3 pi over 4. So what is 3 pi over 4? 3 pi over 4, well, this is pi on the graph, right? So it would be 3/4 of that. So what is 3/4 of that? It's like 3 squares out of the 4 squares it took to get to pi. But the problem is we're supposed to move left that far, and your graphs don't move left. There's no left side on your graphs. So, but it should start 3 squares to the left. Hold on, I'll explain in a second. We're doing sine or cosine here. It's cosine. So, if you start back here, cosine starts at the top, right? And then you have to go 2 steps to go to the next thing, so that's right there. And then 2 steps to the next thing. So it's actually at the bottom. Right there. At the first square. And then 2 steps after that, it'll be back to the middle. Top. This one's not as messy. What's the easiest way to... Well, one way you could do it, so normally at 2 pi, normally at 2 pi it should be back to the top, or because it's cosine, it should be back to the top. But because it's going left 3 pi over 4, that means 3/4 of a pi is at the top instead of at 2 pi. So I could have just started like right here, moving 3 steps to the left of 2 pi. And just went from there. Like two boxes over, it's in the middle. 2 boxes over, it's at the bottom. 2 boxes over, it's back to the middle. Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, these are kind of
I'm
hard.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Yes, yeah. I wish they would have put it negatives on your graph. That would have made it easier. Oh, just like all this. They're not putting any numbers here or here, so the period, the amplitude and the period are not changing on this last 2 pages. I kind of forgot to keep writing it. The period's still 2 pi, it just starts at a different spot. What?
My question is, are we gonna have anything like the theta minus or plus and
Yes.
is that gonna be on the test?
Yeah, it'll be, of course,
Did
it's
you
something
know
we
that
did.
your write-up says chapter 11 test? Is
Yeah.
this chapter 10? Or 11?
Did I put up the wrong test on it?
This is not a smart idea.
Oh, this doesn't have it. Okay, well, whatever. Whatever chapter this is, that's one we're doing.
My dad has a shirt like that.
Great.
My dad does that.
Okay, 15 is kind of easy because you just move right pi over 2 and there's a pi over 2 on the graph. 16 is hard, so I'll help you with that and we'll call it
You
good.
should get rid of it.
We'll call it good for today after this one. Okay.
What are you talking about?
I'll see what they're talking.
Okay.
You don't have to do 15?
No, I'm not helping with 15. It's 15's on, 15's on the easy side and 16's on the hard side.
I don't know what you left.
You should.
Move that down a little bit. Okay,
Would you rather,
did I copy that right?
would you rather marry a frog or kiss a woman?
Alright, so just like all the rest of these on the last two pages, shh. The amplitude, hush, is 1, because there's no number there. The period is 2 pi, because there's no number there. So what's this plus 7 pi over 6 going to do to the graph? Left 7 pi over 6. Where is that?
So-
Okay, hold on. I take that question back. Where does sine normally start? Starts in the middle going up. Okay. So normally at 2 pi, it would be back to the, because that's the period, and that's where it should start over. It should be in the middle going up. But because we're moving left 7 pi over 6, I'm just going to use this point and try to move 7 pi over 6. Where is 7 pi over 6, or how far is that? Well, what is this as a mixed number? It's 1 and 1/6. So that means we need to move 1 and 1/6 pi to the left. Well, if I move 1 pi to the left, where does that get me? Right there. And then I need to move 1/6. This is 1 pi right here. I need to move 1/6 of that. So I don't know. That would be like this is like length. We'll be closer to that right there.
So are they gonna be any like this, where it's not on the line?
No, it'll probably be the deal where you have to make your own graph. So no, that makes it easier because at this 4th mark, you just put whatever. I just had you put whatever the period was.
Yeah, I don't get
You,
that. I don't wanna get it though, but I don't get that, that's why I
you
don't
haven't
like it.
ready.
Okay. Anyways, so that's kind of where we're gonna start at for this one. I moved this point left 7 pi over 6, so I know there's a point right there. So sine should be going from the middle up to the top. So I'm going to move 2 squares over and be at the top. 2 squares over and be back to the middle. 2 squares over, back to the bottom. And so on.
You never answered me.
You just said I don't want to know.
Because then no one will know. Because I don't know what people do. What would you choose?
The frog can't say nothing against it. I can do that.
Weird.
What would you protect?
Well, it's the, you would rather marry an animal.
I don't know. Your question is weird.
Both of those would be morally wrong, so.